Hello folks, Mono here to bring you the new update on Vel'Koz's kit. The mid-season mage update hit the PvE today, and I'm going to explain the different changes they made to Vel'Koz. Keep in mind all these things on the PvE are not set in stone, so things are subject to change. First of all, let's start off on abilities. His passive is still organic deconstruction and it still works the same way as before. However, they did make a pretty large change on it by making true damage scale with level and ability power. Right now the AP ratio is 40% on the PvE, which is huge. This will make hitting organic deconstruction critical and is way stronger than the 35 to 205 damage per level that it is live right now. Also, you apply your 3 stacks to an enemy, the enemy stays deconstructed for a small duration, which plays into his new ultimate change, but we'll get there in a bit. Moving on to his Q, it's still the same ability but better. Plasma Fusion now refunds mana on any unit kills and the range indicator is only shown from Vel'Koz's perspective. The mana refund is a nice buff to the Vel'Man's mana sustain and will probably be used for wave clear more often. But that range indicator change is huge for Vel'Koz players. This will make that ability harder to dodge from your opponent's perspective and we'll have to know how far it extends. His W, Void Rift, that didn't see any changes, but the AP ratios did get lower significantly. Riot did say they didn't want to keep the mindless wave clear that the W max had, so this change made sense. And maxing W anymore is going to be now more situational than before. His E, Tectonic Disruption, is also the same, but with lower AP ratios. Not really a huge change in involving his damage, but it's still a damage nerf nonetheless. And finally, the big change to his ultimate Lifeform Disintegration Ray. His ult's base damage and AP ratios were buffed along with a lower cooldown on it. Those changes alone made his ult stronger than before, however, they added a completely new mechanic to Vel'Koz, and that is Research. Once Vel'Koz applies his deconstruction stacks on the enemy, he has researched them and his whole entire ult deals true damage, which is an immense amount of damage. Although his ult no longer applies organic deconstruction stacks anymore, which is kind of a nerf, but it's still pretty decent with the new research mechanic. So now that we know what Vel'Koz will do, let's talk about his general playstyle. Generally, I think these changes will make Vel'Koz more late game focused, as not as much as a magic penetration mid game mage that he is now. He'll still have a decent mid game, but I still don't know how the AP item changes will affect him. But I do think he'll be stronger with the AP scalings giving to him. I'm also really glad Riot nerfed the W max way of playing him. Even though it was nice to wave clear quickly, that playstyle is pretty boring to play, and as it does give more incentive to hit your plasma fissions to deal damage, which will be way more emphasized now than before. As for his new research ability, I think it will be strong but tricky in teamfights to use. In lane, I think this ability adds so much kill pressure, as sometimes the old laser wouldn't be enough to finish an enemy off, but now if you left your opponent deconstructed, there's no chance of their survival. But in teamfights, this ability becomes something different. An added benefit to the previous laser was that you can add deconstruction stacks repeatedly depending how long the enemy stood in the ultimate. Now they've removed that feature, and this will make it harder to blow up squishies since it's hard to land a full 3 passive stacks to squishies during teamfights. They did buff the strength to the ultimate, but I don't know if it'll make it better than before. We'll have to see. I've also found it interesting that Riot stated that they wanted to focus more on mid Vel'Koz than support. However, these changes seem to make Vel'Koz support's laning phase really good, especially with the W nerfs and the research mechanic added. I have a strong feeling that Vel'Koz support will be one of the better mage supports in the game by far. Anyways, that's all I have for this one. Please leave your comments and your opinions on the changes and if you'll be playing more Vel'Koz. Feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as well as check out some Vel'Koz videos I've made, and maybe he'll be your main after these changes. Alrighty guys, have a good one.